Hey wingman, we're getting into the colder months, and so I wanted to let you know that a fashion statement that's about to show up is part of Air Force history. We're going to talk about the bomber jackets. Well, first of all, what does a proper bomber jacket that the military would wear, what would it look like? It is a leather outside with a wool inside. So now you know what a proper bomber jacket is supposed to look like, you Abercrombie and the bombers fly higher than the fighters. So the bombers would always get the bomber jacket to keep them warm at altitude. And so when the temperatures get colder, when it gets cold during the winter months, a lot of the bombers just opted to wear their bomber jackets. For those of you who are paying attention, you saw that this bomber jacket has a painting on it, and it says Hi-Ho Silver. Well, what that did was it identified the person that was wearing this jacket with their bomber. The bomber itself is the Hi-Ho Silver. So all the guys that wore the bomber jacket on the front would wear their unit emblem, but on the back, for morale purposes, they would wear their plane. This is where the pinup girl being on nose art comes from. When you're with 11 dudes and you're in the middle of somebody else's country and there are no women and you really can't leave the base, you make do with what you have. And each art that's on the back of a bomber jacket really can't be recreated because every single one of them, each one of them, were painted by hand by a very talented airman that they would find. So the bomber jacket in World War II got popularized by the civilians for two very big reasons. Number one, being an airman in the military was the most dangerous job in the military, to include the Marines. Here's what I mean. When a bomber goes down, that is anywhere between 8 to 13 American lives instantly, at least MIA. To put it in perspective, the 8th Air Force, just the 8th Air Force, lost more airmen than the Marine Corps lost Marines. The second big reason is because bombers were the next best thing, the next step in warfighting. Everybody thought that if you just had bombers and you just laid out and just bombed another country, that they would either give up and now you've taken over that country. But we all know that's untrue, at least with my philosophy. If the infantry isn't there, you don't own it. Also, your recruitment posters start looking like this. So the Army Air Forces, you want to be him. You want to wear that bomber jacket. And here's why. Back then, everybody looked alike. You wore that green uniform unless you were a sailor. But everybody, when you're in town and meeting all the women and stuff like that, everybody looks alike. Infantry or artillery, tanks, whatever. What makes you stand out? That bomber jacket. And some of the bomber jackets are brown, some of the bomber jackets were black, and even some were dyed blue to show what unit that you were in. But you know how the military is. We started finding morale in uniforms, and they were like, no, sorry, the word is uniform. Everyone look alike. So does the Air Force still wear bomber jackets? Yeah, they're brown with wool on the inside. That beats enough.